always need to be cautious because a lot of people are offering opportunities. The opportunities is to be gold, but you need to really do your due diligence, your assessment to see these opportunities are genuine. So before you come to any agreement with any party, any proposer, you need to make sure that you do the right thing.
Good day everyone, I'm talking to you from Melbourne, one of the most livable cities in the world, and I got somebody most experienced far as the immigration law is concerned, none other than Mr. Susantha Katugampala. Good day to you.
Good day, Aibuan.
Aibuan. He's a barrister, solicitor, and of course he's an accredited immigration law specialist. What we're going to talk about in this August, where something has changed effective from July 1st. What made to bring this news about July 1st?
In Australia, 1st of July is the first day of the financial year. So the financial year in Australia commences on July 1 and ends 30th of June. So the financial year 23-24 has commenced. So the budget for this financial year, the government has announced the migration quotas. So these migration quotas to be released in August, month of August. This is for skill migration, business migration, investor migration, global talent visas, family migration. So the migration program is going to continue, and there's a policy statement in the budget, and those quotas are going to come into effect from August 2023. That means people have migration opportunities.
Now, looking at the macro picture, what is going to touch on the policies the government has made, and eventually that will result for those who are looking forward to immigrate to this country or looking forward to work with the immigration lawyers, that will be very, very important. Just to touch on, the Labour government has brought or tabled some policies which is quite positive towards the immigration part. Now, let me divide in, let's take how these policies will become very effective, practical or useful for a layman or somebody who willing to come to this country.
Basically, the government has a policy to promote and encourage skill migration. There's a priority for skill migration because there's a skill shortage in Australia that has been accepted by both sides of politics. And there's a skill shortage globally. Therefore, the migration is something in demand for many countries, not just Australia. People are going to Canada, Europe, and many other countries, even Middle East. There's economic boom in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia and Dubai. So people are moving places, and Australia also has a skill shortage. Specifically, in certain sectors in Australia, especially in healthcare, aged care, nursing, and engineers, early childhood education, IT professionals, those occupations are in demand in this country. Hence, the Australian government wants to bring these people into the country. It means that the opportunities are not limited to those people. If your occupation is in demand, and Australia doesn't have an occupation demand list, nevertheless, there are quotas allocated for different occupations. And if you got lots of quotas, lots of opportunities for your occupation, certainly your chances are much greater and you can fast track your migration. But even if your occupation is not in demand, you can still migrate to Australia because there's a wider occupation list in Australia. And in some states and territories, these occupations are in need, and employers need these occupations, and the Australian government continues this program. In addition to the state-sponsored or independent skill migration program, the government has also opened up employer-sponsored migration program. There's temporary work visas. People can come on a temporary work visa to work in Australia. That's called subclass 482. Especially, the government is encouraging labour agreements in the aged care sector. And people can come in with a very lower qualification to Australia, but with right experience, genuine qualification, genuine experience, and with a labour agreement from a recognised aged care employer in Australia. and there's a PR pathway for them. There's all been policy announcements by the government, and we're hoping to see some progress and light at the end of the tunnel.
Now, Susantha, before I go deep into that, on what you touched on, government is changing the policies. They're in a very open hands. On the other side, we got the most experienced, accredited immigration specialist in this country, in Australia, Melbourne. How you read that far as your career, your institute or your career concern?
So basically, immigration law is a very complex law, and so you can't really rely on the policy statements and also the information on the website. So to have a successful outcome, result in your immigration application, you really need to understand the legal framework in this immigration law. And you need to understand how the assessing authorities work. You need to understand how the state territory governments work, their policies, and how the migration regulations work, how the Migration Act works. Even if you have a refusal, you have a chance to appeal to the tribunal or the Federal Circuit Court. We had great track record of winning cases at the tribunal. So if you understand the law, that's been an accredited specialist, we're pleased to have delivered some good outcomes to our clients. It is merely the understanding of the law and an understanding of the policies, and able to negotiate with the stakeholders, including the state governments, assessing bodies, and Australian employers. If you're unable to negotiate with your stakeholders or your client, then you can't get the outcome. So I think that is our strength.
Now, those who have some sort of a dream to come over here or to migrate, definitely your eyes are on and you're watching. But before I ask, like Fairfield Lawyers, that's your institute, where you are located in terms of world map? I mean, of course, you got office in Melbourne. Where else?
Ben is Melbourne, and then we also have an office in Sri Lanka for 25 years in Melbourne, or 20 years in Sri Lanka, and last many years in Dubai. So, but immigration is a global business, so wherever people are, they can contact us. Sometimes we cannot please everyone because there's a high demand for services, and we're trying our best to service our clients and the inquiries. But if we take on your case, then we will assure you the outcome.
Now coming to their profession, they are trying to manage your expectations, and meantime they are pretty much accountable for the obligations as far as the government concerned. Susantha, the hot topic is many people, they think they can come as a aged care helper or supporter, personal carer. There's a talk going on. What's exactly the spotlight on that?
I think there's an opportunity for aged care occupations. The government made an announcement. However, those aged care worker or nursing assistant, there are two relevant occupations. These occupations only require AQF Certificate 3, very low level qualification, plus experience, but those occupations are not on the skill migration list. Therefore, those applicants are unable to qualify for general skill migration even with a state sponsorship independently being an aged care worker. So the only way forward is they need to have a job offer from a recognized employer who has a labour agreement with the Australian government. So the process starts from the employer. If you're able to secure a genuine job offer, yes, the aged care workers got an opportunity. And then if you get a temporary 482 visa, work visa, then there's a PR pathway according to the government's policy announcement. But again, legal framework yet to be seen. We expected to see some good news by end of the year. There's a huge shortage in the aged care worker. And also when we speak to the Australian stakeholders, some investment bankers and the banks who invested in the aged care sector and their employers, I think they believe that the skill shortage can be only fulfilled by the migrant workers. But I think way forward there's an opportunity for you to come on a work visa as an aged care worker and then ultimately secure your permanent residence.
For the benefit of the viewers, Susantha, some people who are in Sri Lanka or maybe in any other country might think, how you differentiate from aged care worker and a nursing staff? Or is it a combination of both?
Nursing staff can be an aged care worker, but aged care worker cannot be a nursing staff because nursing profession requires registration. There are two types of registrations. A registered nurse, RN, requires a bachelor level qualification. Then EN, enrolled nurse, requires a diploma level qualification. They need to satisfy certain English requirements, certain training requirements, qualification requirements, then they can be a nurse. There's a huge shortage in nursing staff, and if you look at Sri Lanka, we still don't have proper nursing degrees. But if that is being introduced, if you have right qualifications from wherever, Sri Lankan qualifications are well recognized in this country. However, the nursing qualifications are yet to be recognized, and we need way forward.
Just to finish off our conversation, like especially in United Kingdom, they have opened the gates, they are welcoming all the nurses, those who have qualification. But does that apply here? The terminal is different here, how they take in?
Getting the nursing registration is a challenge, and we see a lot of opportunities for migration, and even aged care, you need to have Australian qualification to be employed in Australian sector, because otherwise you're not covered by the insurance, the employees are not covered by the insurance. So therefore, certain recognized qualifications are mandatory, and nursing qualifications are mandatory, and registration is mandatory for nurses, and registration is mandatory for doctors, medical doctors. There's a huge shortage in certain areas. So there's no direct PR pathway for them. But if you want to immigrate as an accountant or IT professional or an engineer, then you don't need a registration. You can practice without the registration in Australia. So when it comes to registration, there's a lot more work, and you can't just do a simple migration application. But when there's no registration requirement, then the migration process can be rather easier, subject to you meet your qualification, work experience, English, and you have the right age.
If you're watching this, if you're a nurse or you are related to sort of a personal care or aged caring back in Sri Lanka or any other country, you have to think twice to gain a professional qualification. Then your gateway is open. Then you can contact accredited immigration specialists like Susantha. So think and prepare yourself, get your qualification, and then Fairfield lawyers will be there to assist you. Thanks, Susantha, for a great informative session. And just to wind up, anything you want to tell them, those who are very eager and those who are really willing to migrate to Australia?
Yeah, I think always need to be cautious, because a lot of people are offering opportunities. The opportunities is to be gold, but you need to really do your due diligence, your assessment, to see these opportunities are genuine. So before you come to any agreement with any party, any proposer, you need to make sure that you do the right thing. You protect your rights, you protect your money, you protect your future, because it's hard-earned money. So we have a policy that we don't take people's money, we don't take people's case unless we can deliver. If we take it, we try to deliver 100%. That's our track record. So thank you, AusNewsLanka. Thank you, Sahan, for giving the opportunity.
As we wind up, Susantha, Sri Lanka is booming, so do they have to really migrate?
I think Sri Lanka long term will have a great opportunity, but people want to migrate because they want to have an insurance policy and they want to have global opportunities. But I think the opportunities for people who migrated to return to Sri Lanka doesn't have to be necessarily to reside in Sri Lanka, but you can do work with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka needs you. Always support Sri Lanka.
We always support Sri Lanka. Every dark cloud has a silver line. Be cautious, prepare, gain your qualification. Come on. Good luck. See you next time.